Hello everybody! I wanted to give you an update on a new series that I'm launching for the channel. Or rather, it's a rebranded series that I'm launching on the channel. And whether you're new to the channel, maybe you've recently started watching because of Terraria stuff or Diablo stuff, or you're a longtime viewer, this is all going to be very relevant to your interests. So let's dive in. So I tend to get a lot of game keys sent to me from publishers. They're just like, hey, can you take a look at our game? And there's two main reasons why I turned them down. The first is that I just don't think it'll be that interesting on the channel. I know what you guys like to see. I know the games that you're generally interested in based on 10 years of data of you guys watching videos on the channel. And for me, I just turn them down if I'm like, that's not a good fit, right? If it's a bejeweled clone, I just know it's not a good fit on the channel. Nobody's going to be interested in that, right? You guys are more into shooters or strategy games or huge RPGs. That's the main one. And I know what fits and what doesn't. The second reason is the more heartbreaking reason, which is that I don't have time. Now, I do have time to make videos, but when it boils down to it, if a game is being sent to me, the way that I like to do a video on it is I tend to go and play it for a couple hours before I actually decide to make a video on it. And I don't have a couple hours to spare on a game that I may not make a video of in the first place. So I usually turn things down when I realize that it's going to require more of an investment than is likely for me to make a video. And the reason this is heartbreaking is because I'm a busy guy. I am working in game development now. I'm also running the YouTube channel, and I'm still running Diablo fans. And I just, I got a lot going on. I've got a family, I've got a wife. It's a lot. And I can't commit 2 hours to playing a game that I may not make a video on anyways. But with that said, I still want to make videos on those games, and I think I've come up with a solution. If you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you know I like to do what I call thoughts videos. I did air quotes, but you can't see them because you're watching gameplay footage of The Last Campfire. And the issue is with that, it doesn't really describe what that video is about. Thoughts. Okay, thoughts about what? Thoughts about the game? Thoughts about the gameplay? Thoughts about it all? Why should I care about your thoughts? Some might say. And so that is a pretty big issue. It doesn't really get across what I'm trying to talk about in the video, even though I am discussing my thoughts on it. But it also is bad for SEO, search engine optimization. Actually, it's terrible for it. And it means that my videos are not popping up on searches just because of the way I've titled it or the way that I've described it or anything like that. The solution is simple. It's that I'm going to keep doing the same type of videos, but I'm going to do more of them more often. I'll get to that in a moment. But I'm going to be doing the same types of videos of me talking about games like I did for Diablo 2 Resurrected, where I went into great detail of my thoughts on it. And I kind of was hyper negative on it, despite loving the game, just because it's a 20-year-old game that's starting to show its age. And that, it's difficult to jump into 20 years later and justify the weird quality of life things that aren't present in the game where they've made changes and, some of the other quality of life stuff exists now. Look, that's all against the purpose of what I'm trying to say. The point is, I already make videos like this. I'm just going to rebrand them. And I want to describe to you what that's going to look like so you know how to approach these videos going forward, or rather so that you know what to click on and what not to click on, and because of, your general interests. So my looks at new games that I haven't covered on the channel before, that I usually just call thoughts videos or anything like that, we're going to be rebranding it to just impressions. So let's say I was doing Deathloop. It would be Deathloop impressions or impressions of Deathloop or something like that. Cool. You know exactly what you're getting into. When you click on that video, you know I've played that game a bit and I'm ready to share my thoughts on it. And if you're interested in that game, maybe it would persuade you one way or another to buy it. Maybe I have really negative thoughts to share and I'm like, don't buy this game. Or maybe they're pretty positive and you're like, yes, I tend to agree with you on what you think is good or not good. And I'm going to purchase games based on recommendations there or avoid them, right? So that gives you an idea that if it's an impressions video, I've put the time in. I have thoughts that I'm willing to share and that I'm comfortable sharing because I understand the game enough. And the next one is simple. It's just first impressions. And that should give you everything that you need to know there. Basically, a first impressions video is either going to be me jumping into a game fresh that I've never played and I'm going in blind. Maybe I'm going to play the first 20 minutes, the first hour. It kind of depends on what the game is. These also may end up being live streams at certain points, depending on what game it is. But in general, it's just going to be me jumping into a game, seeing what it is, and playing the first little bit of it, and providing my first impressions on the game. So quick recap for stuff that you don't need a recap for. An impressions video is going to be more in depth. I'm going to be talking more about the general concept of the game and whether it's good or not. And then for a first impressions video, it's going to be less about whether it's good and just me giving my impressions as I go along of, oh, this is an interesting choice. Oh, this is good. And you see this often when I do a playthrough of a game like Deathloop, right? I jumped in, I started playing Deathloop, and I was able to share my thoughts as I'm experiencing different things. People generally like that on the channel. So that's going to be its own new thing. But here's the good thing about this. It is going to allow me to check out those games that I usually turn down because I don't have time to check them out. That 2 hours that I would normally sink into a game figuring out whether or not it would be a good fit on the channel doesn't matter anymore. I'm just going to jump in and blind play the first bit of the game and provide my first impressions that way. And you know what? This is going to be a win-win for everybody. Number one, I'm going to be covering more games, more interesting games, more variety of different games, and I'm going to be able to say yes to a lot of these keys that I'm being sent. And two, I'm also going to be making use of my time a lot better, which is going to allow me to reorganize. And this is like a how the sausage is made kind of thing. It's gonna allow me to reorganize how I do production on videos for YouTube, in line with all of the other stuff going on in my life, and it's gonna actually free up significantly more time to potentially be putting out more of these types of videos in conjunction with my normal playthrough videos. So there may be days where you're getting 2 videos, but there also may be days where you might get a live stream and no video, or a live stream and a video. Either way, it's all going to be on the channel. And just like I've been doing for the last 10 years and haven't missed a single day, you will get at least 1 video every single day. So if you've been on the channel for a long time, if you're looking for my thoughts on specific games, maybe it's an upcoming big release and you see that I put up a video for it and it's just titled, game impressions, or, so-and-so, or impressions of so-and-so game, then you know that that's the big video to be like, oh, okay, he's played this for a while. He's ready to talk about it. If it's first impressions, this is going to be fun. He's going to realize that this is actually an action platformer, not a strategy game, about 20 minutes into the game, and be frustrated because he sucks at platformers. And actually, that's not all that I want to talk about in this video. Just real quick, I am going to touch on the fact that with my new capture card that I had bought in order to do Diablo Immortal content, I'm going to be utilizing this a bit more. You've seen it over this last year. I did coverage on Hades on the Xbox. I did coverage on Diablo 2 Resurrected, the beta, on the Xbox. And I also recently did coverage of Terraria 1.4 on the console. And all of that is only possible because of this capture card. Well, if I end up getting different consoles, like the new Nintendo Switch, for example, which I tried to get on launch day, the OLED version was unfortunately sold out just like right in front of me at Target. It was really unfortunate. I was just slightly too late. But if I end up getting that, or even like a PlayStation or even a new Xbox, I'll be covering more games on those consoles as well. For example, the new God of War, or Horizon Forbidden West, or Mario Party All-Stars, or whatever it's called, stuff like that. Being able to actually do first impressions or just impressions videos on those. So that kind of gives me a little bit more breadth in the scenes that I like to dabble in. I just currently don't have the hardware to do so. If you like some of these changes and you want to continue to support the channel on top of just normally watching things, you can actually become a channel member on YouTube, which gives you unique perks. You get like a bunch of cool emojis that are specific for our channel, but you can use across all of YouTube in comments and in live streams, which is really cool. And then you also are just directly supporting the channel through that. It's really nice. If you don't want to do it through YouTube, Patreon's always an option. And if that's not an option and you just like don't have any money to toss my way, totally get it. Just stay subscribed and check out the new videos and like them, you know, put the thumbs up or whatever YouTubers say nowadays and comment, all that stuff. You guys know how it is. If you're not subscribed, you should be. If you're watching this video, what the heck? You made it through like the 11 minutes of me rambling. You should be able to subscribe at this point and realize that you're going to like my stuff. But with all of that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope this gives you a clear idea of what to expect going forward. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, but we shall see you guys next time.